Welcome back to Burn Notice, the series dedicated to analyzing Michael Weston and his team. If you're new to the series, there's a link in the description to catch you up. This episode begins with the knowledge of last episode, and Mike plans an intelligence mission on the Pakistani consulate in order to discover anything about Carla's past. Sam accompanies Mike due to Fee and Mike's relationship, or lack thereof.
You guys need your space. Now that she's not your girlfriend anymore, I guess it's probably weird if you...
never my girlfriend, Sam.
Sam acts as a pissed-off businessman, while Mike poses as a journalist in order to skip the line and get brought to the back, with Sam being more belligerent, forcing the employee to get the head of security, or the spy, Wasim. This is when Mike breaks in to steal some insignificant files to blackmail Wasim into giving up the information on Carla, and while Sam is getting reprimanded, Mike gets a clean getaway. Next, Mike is trying to avoid Fee by sneaking into Maddie's garage, before Maddie finds Mike trying to steal a mirror for the charger, and Maddie invites Mike to stay and play poker when one of the friends brings up a problem another friend has with a loan shark, and Fee graciously volunteers Mike to help this poor guy out, much to Mike's chagrin, creating enough tension to get them to fight briefly until Mike reluctantly agrees to help because of the client's mom. Then Mike and Fee meet with the client's mom, Diane, when Andy, the client, shows up and explains in better detail about what happened. Andy started investing to prosperous results, and Zeke, the guy running the Ponzi scheme, pursues for a bigger investment opportunity. However, it's in Cuba, and Mike sums it up perfectly.
Can I tell the rest of the story just to save time? The feds rush in, arrest Zeke, but not before rushing you out the back.
Zeke's under indictment, but he's promising not to turn you in.
Feds take the cash, but...
At least you got your freedom.
How did you...
Andy, you were conned.
Then Mike figures out a way to get the money back when Mike and Fee arrive at Zeke's club together to get some intel on him. Also, during the scouting mission, Fee is trying to persuade Mike to trying his luck with the women at the club, which reminds me of a scene from the pilot.
Got yourself a 24-year-old with big, fake tits.
They bore me.
So he is focused on the task at hand and trying to reel Fee in, even just a little bit. When Zeke shows up and Fee uses her feminine wiles to make it to the back in the VIP lounge. Meanwhile, Mike leaves in order to meet up with Wasim about the note he left in the cabinet, and Wasim brings up Mike's terrible spelling and discuss terms of getting the file back to Wasim. However, he isn't overly enthusiastic of helping Mike because the file that Mike stole isn't as important as the file he's asking for, so Mike needs to invent a new plan of attack. Back at the club, Fee pretends to spill a drink to convince Zeke to going to the back room, and she gets stopped at the door by a keycard access, something that Andy should have noted and told the team about. But anyway, the next day at the loft, Sam, Mike, and Fee create a new plan where Mike plays a new mark for Zeke when Diane calls about the loan sharks showing up. So Mike and Sam make it to the house, and Sam volunteers to take care of the lookout while Mike handles the men and the boss in an amazing scene.
And you're gonna have it. Look at this.
The key to hand-to-hand combat is being able to close the distance between you and your opponent without putting them on their guard.
These are nice people. This is not necessary. We don't have to do this. I mean, guys, come on.
However, this move puts Mike's neck out on the line. Also, the boss moves the due date of the payment to just 2 days, which is plenty of time as they prepare to pull the heist at Zeke's that night. With a little help from Andy, then Mike meets back up with Wasim.
What's up, Wasim?
In order to give him the file back, but not before creating a bit of trickery as Sam is taking pictures to create better blackmail. Afterward, Mike explains to Andy how he plans on breaking into the safe and ingeniously wants to put the money in trash bags in order to get the busboys to bring it out for him. When Andy dumps a bunch of phones on Mike's workbench, and ladies, get you a man that looks at you like Mike looks at cell phones. Then Maddie shows up at the behest of Mike. Andy then leaves, and Maddie tries to get to the bottom of the Fee and Mike situation. Also, I've been meaning to bring it up, but this series is lousy for bad ADR. Sometimes it's not as noticeable, and in this scene it is blatantly obvious.
But Fiona is the best thing in your life.
You're the best thing in my life.
Don't be that way, Michael. I want you to talk to me.
And also, the line doesn't really make that much sense. It would have made more sense after Mike lies about Maddie being the most important thing. Maddie saying something to the tune of, I thought spies were supposed to be good liars. But anyway, Mike finally shakes her off, and Mike gets Fee to notice him at the club in order to meet with Zeke. Then Zeke brings Mike to the back, and Zeke offers Mike the opportunity to being a partner in the Cuba Club, which then Mike excuses himself to Zeke's office, where Mike finds about $1,000 of real money and stacks of useless paper, getting Mike to stash his phone in order to make a listening device with Sam's phone. All the while, Zeke's partners are about to go to the office, and Mike barely has time to escape, which he then grabs Fee and gets her out of there. The next morning, Mike explains to Andy how Mike is going to get the money back from Zeke. Then at the club, Sam plays an accountant for Mike. Unfortunately, Sam has to walk away from the deal to encourage Mike's anger and desperation. Meanwhile, Maddie invites Fee over in order to talk about Mike and Fee's relationship, and also brings up how much better Mike is because of her, which is true. Meanwhile, Mike uses better blackmail by making Wasim look like a traitor, leaving Wasim to think about getting that file for him. At the club, Sam meets with Zeke about the deal. Unfortunately, Zeke fends off the deal, furthering Mike's desperation, but unfortunately the partners have veto power, meaning the plan isn't going to work. Mike then having to explain to the loan shark they don't have the money, and Mike buys them some time, but the loan shark has kidnapped Diane to
Prove a point.
That he can get to us at any time.
That he really wants his money.
This gets Andy angry, but Mike calms him down. Then Mike convinces Barry to wire $200,000 of fake money in order to fool Zeke. Unfortunately, the money is only going to be there temporarily, but Mike confirms with Zeke that he's in, and the money shows up in the account after a few stressful moments. And Mike's look of relief when the money shows up is just perfect. Zeke calls some quote-unquote girls over, but this is just the code word for his partners to play the FBI. But Sam intercepts them and fakes an assassination of the partners to panic Zeke, enough to shell out the cash of the previous scams. Then Zeke's partners miraculously show up to Zeke, and they find out Zeke got scammed, and the partners teach Zeke a lesson. Next at Andy's, the loan shark arrives with Diane and Mike.
200 grand plus the VIG minus 300. I got you a little present. It's in the bag. That's next month's issue. You're a lifetime subscriber now.
I'd rather have the 300.
Oh, but this is money well spent. Now you have a monthly reminder to keep your hands off of people's mothers. Leave.
Andy and his mom are safe. Then Mike meets with Maddie to discuss Fee briefly. And Maddie brings up that she wants Mike to have a family, but this ultimately goes nowhere. Then Wasim brings Mike the file on Carla, and Mike, being a man of his word, gives Wasim the negatives. Also, Mike fixed his mirror. This episode was heavy with the spy, not so heavy on the action, but that's actually a good thing. If he was going around shooting and getting shot out or making super big explosions all the time, he could compromise himself. But all in all, a good episode to set up future episodes. And a good client gets his life back. A nice, easy episode. Thank you for watching. If you're curious about how an FBI team uses psychology to catch serial killers, check out my other series, Inside Criminal Minds. Link in the description. And as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.